What's going on, everybody? Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Bench. Of course, I'm your host, DeMarcus. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day today, and want to thank you for tuning in to this brand new episode here on the pod. Of course, before we get started, I want to go ahead and get this out the way. Please make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment on this video. So, like I said, I think I got some pretty good topics to talk about today. We're going to get into, three areas. First area we're going to talk about, of course, is going to be college football because there's a little bit going on with that. And of course, football is back. You got training going, spring training. Then you also have NFL training going on. So, everybody's getting back into the football swing of things. And so there's a little bit of things going on in college football. And of course, we're going to talk about the U.S. Men's basketball team as they get ready to go into the Olympics, talking about what's going on with them. And then finally, of course, we're going to get into the NFL to talk about what's going on with a few different key players in the NFL. And then, of course, some expectations and, some things, happening with certain teams in the NFL. So once again, like I say, if you're a first-time watcher of the podcast, thank you. And make sure before you leave, you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and then hit that bell for notifications so that way you know when all the new episodes are coming out for the pod. So let's get right into it. So the first topic, of course, we have, on the play is college football. Now, when it comes to, college football, the big thing going on right now is the Clemson Tigers and the Florida State, Seminoles going against the ACC. Now, I want to kind of, dive into what's kind of going on with them first, and then I want to kind of give my opinion about, what I think will happen, should happen, or, if this is really a big problem for college football. So, of course, the Florida State Seminoles, they first, sent in a lawsuit against the ACC, and then Clemson followed right behind. Now, basically what the problem is, or what I've read upon and did my research on, FSU and Clemson, well, let's start from the beginning of the conference itself, bringing on some new schools. Of course, you got Stanford and Cal joining the ACC, which is big for the ACC to have those teams. But I also think logistically it's going to make it very difficult for the ACC because where Cal and Stanford's located on the West Coast, traveling, issues with that can possibly arise this season. And then also, too, just the distance between the fan base of trying to make games real, in a spot that's convenient for all the schools. So if you have, if you're trying to develop a new rivalry or you're trying to develop a big game for the conference, that's going to be pretty difficult. But basically, Florida State and Clemson, they're suing the NCAA, not NCAA, they're suing ACC because they wanted to try to, possibly, think about leaving the ACC to go to a different conference. Because like I said, if you look at the conference landscape in college football, there's a lot of schools that have moved to the SEC. There's a lot of schools that have moved to the Big Ten. Pac-12 has pretty much dismantled itself. So you got that going on. So you got a lot of schools making moves to, better their brand, better their opportunity for media attention, media rights, media deals. And I think Clemson and Florida State, they're kind of looking, at that too as well, because the ACC has kind of been on a downslide the last few seasons. So Clemson and Florida State being one of the two most popular teams outside of Miami and a couple other teams in the ACC that's kind of been carrying the load, the weight for that conference, they wanted to be able to explore their options. And by exploring their options, of course, the ACC came out and told them, hey, to explore your option or to leave the conference, there's going to be a penalty. So, of course, Clemson and Florida State, they didn't like those penalties. Because the penalties, it ranges into the hundreds of millions of dollars to be able to exit from the actual deal that they signed up, which was a 12-year deal that runs through 2036. So Clemson and Florida State was like, nah, we don't think that that's fair to hit us with that kind of penalty in order to leave your conference. Now, of course, with the conference ACC, they have, let's see, they got the media rights for both teams and through 2036. So that means any TV deals, any branding deals that come along with that team, of course, you know, Florida State and Clemson are obligated, you know, through the ACC with that. Now, of course, on the side of ACC, they're looking at the reason, you know, for this type of magnitude of penalty fees or exit fees is because, like I say, Florida State and Clemson obligated themselves to the conference through a certain period of time. And through that, there's, you know, of course, we all know there's money that's going to be accumulated within that time frame. So the ACC looking like, hey, with the money that we could possibly make in these next 12 years with these two teams or these two institutions, we think that this is the amount that you need to pay to be able to exit. And of course, Clemson is fighting it back, and Florida State's fighting, saying that those are unfair, and it makes it very hard for them to, you know, now brand themselves or have the ability to financially take care of themselves and possibly get into another conference. So I just want to kind of run down a few things for people that might not understand exactly what's going on. So there's a term that's floating around called grant of rights. So let me just break down what grant of rights are. So grant of rights is a legal document signed by each member of the ACC that transfer ownership of media rights from the school to the conference. What this means is that ACC, not Clemson or Florida State or any other member school, owns the rights to broadcasting of games. Now, the schools signed this in 2013 as a reaction to the departure of Maryland to the Big Ten under the rationale that the grant of rights acts as an insurance policy that will prevent anyone from leaving the league during the duration of the agreement, which in this case is through 2036, because a school without TV revenue would have little value to any other conference or enough value to stand as an independent. So that's what Florida State and Clemson is arguing by them, you know, basically running up the check on them when it comes to what kind of penalty fees they're going to have to pay. It prohibits their ability to stand on their own if they wanted to, similar to like a Notre Dame, because with Notre Dame, they have the ability to, you know, not be in a conference because of their TV deal and their media deal with NBC. So with them getting all of the revenue, NBC getting all the revenue from Notre Dame football, it allows Notre Dame to stay independent. That's kind of why they're not part of a conference. So, but if you basically prohibit or make it very hard for a team to stand on their own when they try to branch off, it makes it nearly impossible. So, but you know, with this agreement that was signed by each school in the conference, you know, I think they understood that, hey, you know, signing a 12-year deal is going to be very difficult. I don't think they realized that the penalty would be as extreme, but I think they knew that it was going to be a risk to sign for this 12-year agreement and then try to break the agreement literally a year or 2 years into the agreement. Now, as for the schools, I understand, you know, if a conference is kind of going downhill, then you want to kind of get yourself into a better conference, especially with the 12-team playoff system that's being integrated this season coming up. So I understand why you would want to possibly, you know, weigh your options on if there's another conference that you can go to one, help yourself with recruiting, help yourself with media opportunities, with TV deals, with merchandising, with your fan base, you know, trying to levy all of that into a better situation. I can understand that from both schools. As for the ACC, I can also understand why they would feel like, hey, we can't allow our top two teams to leave our conference, because our top two teams leave our conference, then guess what? It puts us in a Pac-12 situation to where now we're struggling to survive as a conference at all. Now, of course, I'm sure the ACC could probably pull other teams in to fill those slots, but what teams would they pull in that could be the magnitude or the level of a Clemson or a Florida State? Because you look at Clemson and Florida State, you know, in the last 10 years, they've run national championships. So you can't lose, your top dogs that easily. I believe that's kind of why, the NCAA commissioner has come, not NCAA, I'm sorry, I keep saying that, but the ACC commissioner has come out and said that he's going to fight this lawsuits, to the bitter end because they feel like they're in the right because agreement was signed or a contract was signed, and they want Clemson, they want Florida State to honor that contract. So this thing here is far from over. Now I wonder what that does for the conference going into to the season. Now I think, of course, Clemson, Florida State, they're going to play their games. I don't see no boycotting or sitting out games or anything like that, because I don't think the institutions want to ruin whatever revenue they can obtain this season. Also, they don't want to mess it up for the fans and the students that love to come to the games and love to cheer the team on. And plus, both teams have an opportunity to win the ACC this year anyway. So I don't think they're going to do anything to cost themselves games or mess it up for people that love to watch them. But it is going to be interesting to see how they are with the conference, how they are, and then also too, depending on the outcome of these lawsuits. We don't know, because they're currently going on right now. We don't know how long they're going to last. It's possible it could end before the season start, and it's possible it can go the entire season, because lawsuits they can be very, very tricky unless there's an agreement that can be agreed to in a shorter period of time, so that way this doesn't dwell over into the season for a long period of time. So, but I think this is interesting to see finance institutions fighting back at the with the conferences on their ability to basically manage themselves and make better choices for themselves versus the conference making all the choices. So y'all comment down below. Let me know what you think about this whole lawsuit going on between these these three different entities, and what you think the outcome will be, moving forward for Clemson and for FSU. Do you think this is good or bad for college football? Watching this, and this is also interesting because with the NIL deals coming along and all this opportunity for schools and for players to maximize revenue when it comes to different companies that want to come in and pay players for their likeness, and also for the exposure for the school. So it's interesting to see this going on right now, and I wonder, is this the the birth child of more schools possibly doing the same thing in other conferences? I don't think the SEC so much, because I think a lot of the schools that have come over, it's a better situation for them. And of course, they didn't really lose anybody because they were already in good standing with a lot of their colleges that they have now. Plus, we already, most people believe the SEC to be the best conference in college football anyway. So, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens if their exit strategy, or if they're able to exit the ACC, if that's what they want to do, and then also we want to see what kind of blueprint this provides for other teams moving forward to possibly do the same thing if they have already signed, brand new agreements, and now you're able to break an agreement or break a contract. What does that say about the conferences? Also, what does that talk to about the college football and then and everything when it comes to their relationship? So. But I thought that was very interesting to see, because you don't really see a lot of college, sports or college, teams fighting back at the, with the conference. So it's interesting to see. So that's where we are for football, college football. I'm excited. I mean, even with all that going on, I can't wait for college football. I've been waiting on it it seems like forever, and I'm sure everybody that loves college football, you're excited, especially since the NCAA, football 25 has come out, and that effect that it has had on the masses has been huge. I know myself, I've lost sleep playing that game. So I know a lot of people out there, guys, especially my men, because the women out there, ladies, I know you don't understand because, you never had some taken from you for 11 years and then nothing as a valuable substitute that was brought in to be able to fill that void or that gap until the time being for something else to come out. So to be waiting as long as we have, and to be a football guy and love football and love college football, to have this game has been huge. So I'm pretty sure there are some relationships out there right now struggling because the ladies don't understand why it's so serious, and the fellas, man, we loving every minute of it. That's all we're talking about. That's all we're doing. In our free time, we just want to get on the game, whether it's PS5 or it's Xbox or it's any PC, whatever it is. Everybody wants to play that game. So and I'm in future episodes, I'm going to talk more about the NCAA 25 effect that it has had on society right now. But I like I said, with that going on and this going on, man, I'm so excited and geeked up for college football to be back. But all right, so moving right along, we're gonna now go into the NBA. Okay, so of course we're right around the corner from the Olympics starting, and the USA men's basketball team has been playing some warm-up games, getting ready to go in to the Olympics to try to play for, an opportunity to win gold this year. And I've been watching them. And of course, from the beginning, I wasn't really big on the roster. I felt like there were some pieces that could have been changed up, or there were some pieces that were left off that I think was necessary, for the team to have the best that we can bring over there to, win, to not only win, but to dominate a lot of teams. But what I've been seeing, I've been watching the USA team, and there's been some struggle, with these warm-up games against Canada, against Australia, against Germany. I've watched a lot of struggle, and also too, I watched a lot of load be put on, the older guys like LeBron, Steph Curry, to really play a lot of minutes, which in my opinion, I feel like it should be the opposite way around. I feel like some of the younger stars, some of the younger guys, they should be out there playing, especially in these warm-up games. They should be out there playing a little bit more, because you're going to definitely need them when it comes to, actually playing in pool play and actually trying to go out and win against, the best in the world that these other countries have to offer. Now, I know a lot of people have been, in my comments, have, been DMing me, talking about this with me. I also had an episode where I had a kind of like a little round table where we talked about it too as well. And I get it. A lot of people are used to the USA team going in and beating everybody by 50. I understand that. I myself am guilty of that. And I have been, spoiled to see, when we bring out our best, we're going to dominate. But I think what we have to pay attention to is that what we're seeing is that the world is catching up or have caught up. I mean, even South Sudan, how they put, to the wire, to where LeBron James had to make a layup to win the game. They pushed USA to the brink of, what no one thought they could, even in that game, winning, I think, 15, 20 points at some points of the game. So I think what we're being exposed to is that the NBA is not that far away from these other, teams in the other parts of the world. And then also too, I think a lot of these teams have guys that are great in there and on their team and playing for their country, but they feel like, man, they on the same level. And so there's no fear factor when they play the USA team no more, like it used to be back in the day when Michael and the Dream Team, and of course, in the last probably 15 years, where you had 08 and 2012, those teams that had players that a lot of people I think feared. I just don't think with this roster people fear them. So when people get on the court with them, they just feel like, man, I can play with them, just as well as they feel like they can dominate us. We feel like we can play with them. So I think the fear factor has been eliminated for a lot of these teams in these other countries. Plus, in previous Olympics, we always had, everybody on our team was a star. So you're talking 12 stars. And then, of course, the teams they go up against might have one, maybe two at max. Now they're going to go up against teams that got 3, 4, 5, possibly even 6 stars on their team that also too play in the NBA. So like when you look at France, you got Wemby, you got Rudy, you got who else they got on the team that, they got a couple guys on the team that are NBA stars to themselves. So now you got guys that are playing in the NBA playing for their country that go up against the USA team and say, hey man, we know what to expect from these guys. So let's tell you what we're going to run up against. So I think the strategy now to play against the USA is so much different than before, where guys just couldn't match, the abilities that the NBA players from the USA team were coming over to the Olympics with. So I think that's what's going on. So it is a little bit uneasy, and it's excuse me, it's uneasy, and it's also unfamiliar territory for us to be in this place, because we're supposed to be the best country when it comes to playing the game of basketball. And I understand that. And I believe that we still are. I still think we control that driver's seat. But, in the previous Olympics, we haven't always shown that. But I think that, it's a good place for us to be in, where it's competitive. And I think LeBron even said it in two of the games, like, man, I love the competitiveness of the games we're going up against, even though these are practice games, these warm-up games. These games don't really matter in the sense they don't. But in the long run, when it comes to, getting into the Olympics and playing in your pool, winning your pool, and having a chance to play in that gold game, it matters, because you want to play good in these warm-up games to help it translate better. But it just makes basketball, even better when you talk about the Olympics. Because most time we talk about Olympics, yeah, you're like, okay, it's maybe one, possibly two, two teams that can go up against the USA. USA should win. Just like when you go over to the women's side. The women, they're kind of doing what the guys were doing for a long period of time, which is just dominating, beating everybody by 30, 40, 50 points. And now on the men's side, you see that the men have caught up. And I think eventually on the women's side, it's going to start to catch up, because when you got the world playing great basketball, man, it's a great thing. I don't think that's a problem. But it is a little concerning to watch our team struggle the way they have, especially in key moments. And then the rotation is kind of an issue. I don't understand why we have Joel Embiid playing as many minutes as he's playing, especially when he's out there on one leg. I think AD should be the starting, fifth man or starting big for our team. I think Ant-Man should be playing more minutes. Jason Tatum too as well. I think with their Ant-Man's explosiveness, his ability to play defense, he can knock down shots, and of course Jason Tatum with his skill set. I think alongside of LeBron, Curry, I think that gives us a great nucleus of guys to work with. And then, of course, you bring in Derek White, you bring in Drew Holiday. You bring those guys in, they're going to play defense. Of course, they're going to knock down shots. They're going to talk. They're going to, show great leadership. But y'all comment down below, let me know what you think, so far, what you've seen from the team. Do you think we're in a good place or we're in a bad place? Also, what have y'all thought about the way LeBron James has been playing at 39 years old, watching him be a, full-fledged leader and command, greatness from his teammates, but as well as go out there and perform too as well to put them in position to win. Can he keep that up? And then, at 39 years old, go to Olympic and then boom, flow right into the season. How do you think that would affect him? Or would it affect him at all? Because we already know LeBron has shown an excellent history over his 21, going on 22 plus year career to take care of his body, take care of himself, and not put himself in a position to hurt himself. But, we know he's on a, tail end of his career. And, hopefully this is his last Olympics, because I don't think he needs to play in another one. I think this should be, it should be done. But, what have you thought about his play, his level of play? Because it feels like he's raised it unlike he has ever in other Olympics. And I think he's realized it because he has a bunch of young guys, that's never been in the Olympics. And then also he knows this is probably his last Olympics. So he want to make sure that he positioned his team in the best spot to win the gold. But let me ask y'all a question, because one of my buddies, my good buddies, his name's B Knight. Shout out to B Knight for this question. Let me ask y'all, do you think with the USA team, with the picking of the roster this time around, do you think they chose legacy over the right players? Because that's when he posed that question to me, I was like, man, that's kind of interesting. Because it has a feel like with the roster, it was more legacy players chosen versus more of the best players that need to go over there to play were chosen. So y'all let me know what you think, if you think that is, if that's a thing at all. And then also, too, let me pose this question to you. Do you think the coaching is the problem right now? Because I feel like when Coach K was coaching, there was a level of respect that was different. At the same time, I felt like guys wanted to, really play for Coach K. I don't know if guys really, are really playing for Steve Kerr. Now, I think they respect Steve Kerr, and of course, Steve Kerr is a great coach, champion, multi-champion, has done a fantastic job with Golden State and what he's created culture-wise there, that he learned from all his years of playing in the NBA as well as under, Greg Popovich over in San Antonio. So he's, built a great culture, but it just seems like when you watch them play and when you watch him coach, that there's something not on the same page, yet. And that could be just because of, a bunch of new faces. You got Kevin Durant hurt. You had Kawhi back out because of his knee. Embiid's not 100%. So it could be that because he don't have all of his arsenal. Devin Booker, I think he's trying to figure out what to do with Devin Booker. So it could be that's what's going on in these warm-up games. So hopefully that changes in the Olympics. But that's a thought or a question I wanted to ask Al. Do you think the coaching is an issue too as well with the Olympic team? But do I think we can still win gold? I think we have enough to still win gold. I just think that it's going to be interesting. It's going to be difficult. It's not going to be a cakewalk like it's been in prior Olympics, I would say. But I think, we have to applaud the world on what they've been doing with their national teams. And of course, like I say, we got so many great players in our league that we respect and we honor, and they just kill it every year. Of course, when they go back over to their team, it's only going to attract better basketball players for their national team. And then, of course, it's going to make them more competitive when they come up against our Olympic team. So, but, I think, where we are with our Olympic team, it's in an interesting spot, but we'll have to wait and see what we do in the Olympics. But like I said, y'all comment down below and let me know what you think, on what you've been seeing. Is it concerning? Is it not concerning for you? Just let me know. All right, so we're gonna get into our last topic of discussion today, and this is the main what they call main course of the meal. So NFL is back. Like I said earlier in this episode, you have college football coming back around, and the NFL is right behind it. And then right behind that, you got the NBA coming back up, which for me personally, because of the sports that I love to watch. Like I said, I'm a baseball fan, of course, but I don't really pay a ton of attention to baseball until September, October, because it's over 100 plus games. Let's just be honest. Not everybody watches every single game of baseball, but I watch a lot of it, and I just get excited for September. So that's why September is such a wonderful spot for me in the year, just because, like I said, college football's going at it. And then you got the NBA about to start back up. You got baseball getting good, and then the NFL just starts in September. So, September is the greatest part of the year for me. But like I said, so NFL training camp has started for all your NFL teams. So everybody's reporting back to start getting everything in order, start getting chemistry, and start learning if there is a new playbook, or if there is a new player added to the team, starting to really put everything together to get ready for this season. But you also have a lot of guys that are not showing up for training camp. You also have a lot of guys that's missed some mandatory days for training camp. And to talk about the guys that are not showing up, and a lot of them or all of them are not showing up because, hey man, let's be honest, they trying to get that money. Can you blame them though? Because we're not talking about some slouches. We're talking about some all-pro guys. So let me just name a few guys that, like say, hey man, I'm not coming if you're not gonna pay me my money. You got Jordan Love for the Green Bay Packers. You got CeeDee Lamb for the Cowboys. You got Brandon Ayuk with the 49ers. Now, you got Jamar Chase. Of course, he's looking for an extension, long-term deal, but he hasn't gotten one. But he has shown up and he's still participating. Now, the one thing that worries me for Jamar is what the GM came out and said by saying, "Hey, man, this is it's not on our high priority list of things we need to get done." Now, he did finish saying that we want Jamar. We want to keep him and Burrow together. We think they're an incredible young duo that we have, and we want him to stay here long term. But it's just not high priority that we get it done right now. And that's the same feel or the same thing they were saying about T. Higgins, because T. Higgins wants a long term deal too as well. So you got your top two receivers that you don't want to pay. I don't understand how that makes sense. You got to pay these guys if you want them to stay loyal and keep playing for you, because the guys that said no, I'm not going to show up. I mean, they trying to limit opportunity for injury. They trying to if you're not going to even talk about it with us, then why show up? And I think anybody out there that's working for a company or a corporation or individual, that you are the main reason why a lot of people come to buy from this company, this corporation, or the individual, and you help them make a lot of money, then you think that you deserve a piece of that pie too. And let's be honest, we're not talking about no guys that last year and the last couple of years haven't been top in their position. I mean, you look at Brandon Ayuk, you look at CeeDee Lamb, two of the probably top 5, I would say, wide receivers in the league. Let's look up real quick. Let's just look at Brandon Ayuk stats real quick. Let's do that, just so we can paint the right picture of what these guys are bringing to the table and deserve to get the attention and compensation that they're wanting to as well. I mean, let's see. So you got Brandon Ayuk was top 7 in receiving yards last year. He got 75 receptions for 1,300 yards. He had 7 TDs. Yards per game, about 84 yards per game. His YAC was 382. So, I mean, you're talking about a guy that was top 10 in receiving last year. Let's go to CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb was top 2. CeeDee Lamb had 135 receptions for almost 1,800 yards, 12 TDs. He had, yards per game, 103 yards per game. And then his YAC was 680 yards. So you're talking about two of the top 7 receivers in the league last year, not getting paid. Because you take them off the team, what do you have? I mean, yeah, you got Debo in with the 49ers, you still got Debo there. But if you take Brandon Ayuk off, Brandon Ayuk was the across the middle guy, was your deep route guy, was your guy that when you need a first down, you went to Brandon Ayuk. And you're talking about not giving him no money. And you look at Jamar Chase. Now, Jamar Chase had an off year because he had some injuries, so he was top 12. But even with an off year, he had 100 receptions for 1,200 yards. He got 7 tutties. Yards per game, he was at 76 yards. And then his YAC was 540. So, and for, people that's watching, if you don't know what YAC is, that's YAC, that's yards after catch, for the ones that didn't know. But like I said, you're talking about guys that, top in the game, and they're asking to be compensated for that. Because when you watch, other receivers, if I'm a receiver and I watch other receivers, get money, get paid. I mean, you look at Tyreek Hill when he got paid. You look at St. Brown when he got paid. A.J. Brown got paid. Amari Cooper, he's working on a restructure of his contract. I mean, you look at these guys that got paid. Devontae Adams when he got paid a couple years ago. So you're looking at guys that, Justin Jefferson just got a mega deal this offseason. So when you look at all these guys that are getting paid and you either have similar stats or you have better stats than them, that's going to ring the alarm for anybody. Because if you say, hey, man, my stats were better than him and he got this, then I know I'm worth at minimum what he's got. So you're not talking about some guys that didn't prove themselves to deserve that type of money. But we already know, in the case of CeeDee Lamb, you saw with Dak Prescott, and I think he's up for a new contract. So this year's big for him to prove himself for another contract. And then you still got Micah Parsons coming up behind that. So you got a lot of guys that are, playing well, that are top, in their position, that are asking for that type of money. But we all know with the Dallas Cowboys, they're snails when it comes to making deals. So they're gonna, I know my boy Tim, if he's watching, he's gonna have something to say about that because he's a huge Cowboy fan. But let's just be honest, Jerry Jones, he takes his time when it comes to, making deals with people. And plus he tries his very, very best to, hold back as much as he can from paying them, what they're worth. But I mean, I say kudos to these guys for standing up for themselves and saying, hey, man, you got to provide me with the compensation because I'm giving you everything I got. And you look at it, it's tops in the league. We're not talking about, I'm at the, 20, ranked 20th in the league. I'm top 5, top 2. I mean, like I said, I'm not in the, Jalen Waddle, who's 26 on the list. But you saw him get a mega deal. So when you're talking about the guys that's, 10 slots, 12 slots above him, and they watch him get a deal, it's like, come on, man. And I mean, and then you look at Jordan Love. Jordan Love, all those years he sat behind, the Aaron Rodgers saga and going through all that to watch him come out and have his first full starting year and to watch how he dominated in regards to, going into going into Dallas and beating Dallas at home when, nobody in their right mind would have ever picked Jordan Love to go into Dallas in AT&T Stadium and dominate like he did. And let's look at Jordan. Let's see let's see if he has a good argument. So Jordan Love last year, top 7 quarterback. All right, he played all 17 games. He 64% completion, threw for 4,100 yards, threw for 32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, was sacked 30 times, which of course some of that's his fault, and then some of it is the offensive line. All right, and then his QBR rating was 62%, and then his net rating was 96%. So, I mean, you're talking about a guy that was top 7 in the NFL. I mean, of course, he trailed, Patrick Mahomes, Brock Purdy, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, and Tua out of Miami. Tua was your number 1 quarterback last year with 4,600 yards, 29 tutties, 14 interceptions, QBR of 61, and then a net rating of 101. So, I mean, with average, and then of course, Jordan Love, he averaged 45 yards passing. So, I mean, that's, lower than, the top 6 in front of him. But, I mean, 4,100 yards, first year starter, full starter, after everybody thought that the Green Bay Packers was going to be, in a bad spot, or they was questioning Jordan Love's ability to, take over him, similar to how they did Aaron Rodgers when he took over for Brett Favre. So when you talk about that, and to watch him come out and dominate like he did and go in and uncharted territory for him, first time ever in the playoffs, and to go up against arguably one of the best teams in the NFL and go in there, and not only did he win, but he dominated. If you watch that game, the game was never close. Now, the score at the end might have said that, but if you watch the game, Jordan Love went in there and played against a top 3 quarterback in Dak Prescott and made Dak look like he was the rookie with the way Jordan Love went in there and just thrashed their defense. So, like I say, all these guys, man, that are asking, for the bag, I mean, they're deserving. We have to be honest, they're deserving. There is no reason why these guys shouldn't be able to ask for the money they're asking for. Now, my question to everybody out here watching: do you think they're going to get their money? Do you think this ends soon, or does this trail over into the season? Because you got to think we got 2 months. You know, you might well say, you know, August is here, and these are the key moments and key days of training camp and getting things together. You know, are guys going to get it together with the franchise and get the contracts situation resolved, so they can focus on getting with their team and their teammates and their coaching staff to start really building for an opportunity to possibly, you know, play for a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl? I don't know. Y'all comment down below. Let me know, you know, do you think this goes all the way up to the season? Do you think guys sit out and hold out for as long, you know, do we have a Terrell Owens situation on our hands where, you know, these guys going to be hanging out in their driveway doing sit-ups, doing push-ups, burpees, and all other kind of stuff that T.O. was doing when he was with the Philadelphia Eagles, getting themselves ready, you know, and staying in shape, getting ready for whenever they finally come to an agreement on that check, that they'll come show up ready to go? Do we see that happening, or, you know, will it get resolved pretty soon? I don't know. But like I said, you know, before, this, you know, these guys are, you know, topping their position. So that they, you know, they're rightfully so asking for what they deserve. And I think we gotta give them their just due. But also before we get out of here, you know, with football, I want to talk about, you know, or bring something to anybody's attention. Is there anybody in the NFL right now you think, you know, it's a make or break year for them? And I'm talking about team and player. If you could think of, I have a few in my mind, want to kind of hold off on that to come back at later dates and talk about it, or later episodes and talk about it. But I'm curious to know what you guys think out there. Comment down below. Let me know, who do you think, you know, player wise, it's a make or break year for them, or it's the most pressure on them versus others, and then like I say, when you talk about the franchises, which franchise is this year a make or break for them? Which one has the most pressure on them to, you know, have their team perform well, especially with the pieces that's been brought in, whether it's, like I said, quarterback, wide receiver, running back, defensive players, you know, the young guys have been brought in from the draft. You know, y'all let me know. And like I say, in you know, next episodes coming up, of course, I'll dive more into, you know, who do I think is the ones that's under the most pressure, or the ones that it's a make or break year for. So, but man, I'm excited for football. I think, you know, it's going to be a fantastic year. Of course, there are a lot of teams, you know, right now looking good that we're going to be interested to see. I mean, you got Caleb Williams with the Chicago Bears. How does he take over Justin Fields? How well does he perform? And of course, in their offense that they have for him, how does that work? You got Derrick Henry over in Baltimore. You know, Baltimore Ravens the last few years have led the league, or had running backs leading the league in running. How does that work out for them? So it's a lot of new faces, new coaches. Which coaches are under a lot of pressure this year to make sure their team make the playoffs for sure with the pieces that they have, and then also have a chance at the playing for the Super Bowl. And then also, do you think the KC Chiefs, will they have a three-peat? Do we have I don't know. I know Pat Mahomes came out, Travis Kelce came out and said, hey, man, they already calling it. They going for the three-peat. And can you really blame them, man? Because you look at what they did with barely anything, leading the league in drop passes, to now they've added more pieces, more weapons for Patrick Mahomes. And then, of course, they got Chris Johnson back, so who going to lead the front for their defense. And then still got Travis Kelce, one of the best tight ends in the league. So, and then you still got Andy Reid, one of the best coaches in the league. And I don't know, like I said, I know it's been very quiet. We haven't really seen the Taylor Swift effect, or the Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift thing. I haven't really heard any noise, which makes it very interesting for me that we haven't really seen or heard anything about them. Does they come back around, or was that all a big show for everybody, outside of football? I don't know. Y'all let me know. I'm not saying nothing. I'm just saying it's very, very interesting how we have not heard anything from the Swifties and all this Taylor Swift and Kelsey stuff, and we just haven't seen any of that now. Could be because it's off season. I'm just saying that, but we'll see when football starts back up if it's still a thing or was it a fling, So, but man, I want to thank y'all for taking the time out to watch this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. As like I say always, before you leave, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe. Make sure you click that bell for notifications so you get notified each and every time a new episode comes out from us. And then comment down below and make sure you follow us on all our other social medias, which is always listed down below. And when you comment down below too as well, let me know about today's episode. Of course, I'll do my very, very best to implement and talk about the things that you bring up in upcoming episodes. But until then, I want to thank y'all again for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.